Welcome into the State of Education video series. I'm Ed Kalari with the Alexander City Chamber of Commerce. Appreciate you joining us for this video series, an opportunity to be informed on the education system here in Alexander City. Today we're going to meet with Dr. Langford, Superintendent of Alexander City Schools. We'll also get a chance to talk to Jessica Sanford, Executive Director of the Alexander City Schools Education Foundation. And then we'll visit later on with Interim President at Central Alabama Community College, Mr. Jeff Lynn. We do appreciate you joining us for this video series. Of course, it wouldn't be possible without our sponsors. We'd like to thank our presenting sponsor, Central Alabama Community College, as well as our gold sponsor, Mr. T.C. Coley, County Commissioner in District 1, and of course, our additional support provided by Kobe Rise, as well as the Alexander City Education Foundation. Thanks for joining us. Now we'll go sit down with Superintendent Dr. Langford and learn all about the exciting happenings here in Alexander City. Welcome back into the State of Education video series brought to you by the Alexander City Chamber of Commerce. I'm Ed Kalari and honored to be joined by Dr. Keith Langford, School Superintendent with the Alexander City Schools. How are you doing this morning, Dr.
I'm doing
Langford?
great.
Good. Well, we appreciate your time and thank you for joining us. Due to the COVID pandemic, in years past we've done an in-person event, but this year we thought we'd bring you some insight and information on our school system here locally through this video series, so we do appreciate you joining us today. Today we're going to focus on the Alexander City school system, and with this unique school system and a new superintendent in place. Dr. Langford, you've been here now for nearly 2 years.
The new is almost gone.
I'm sure it is with all that's gone on.
Yes.
For those who haven't had a chance to meet you or visit with you or know much about your background, if you would, just give us a little insight on kind of where you came from and,
Sure.
and how you ended up here in Alexander City.
Okay. I came from Mobile Public School System, again, the largest school system in the state of Alabama, and I was there for a short stint as a Deputy Superintendent of Operations. And prior to that, I was a superintendent in one of the smaller school systems in Sheffield, Alabama, which is up north. So I have migrated from the north to the south, and now I'm where I want to be, right here in Alexander City, right in the middle of Alabama.
Well,
So, and then have 23 years, almost 24 years in education, and prior to that, I was in the U.S. military, and so that's just real quick and dirty of where I've been. But again, I'm excited to be here and lead our school system.
well, we're very excited and honored to have you here and talk about this year. It's obviously been a very unique year in the school system with all that's going on with the global pandemic. Kind of give us an idea how things are from teacher standpoint, administration standpoint, maybe some of the challenges that you face this year.
Right. Well, to say it's been different is an understatement. But as far as the teachers and administrators, you know, I want to start with this, is saying if you ever have a problem, give it to a teacher and they can solve it. And that's what's happened this year. Our teachers, if you walked into a classroom right now, they may be in a mask, they may be in a shield, they may have gloves on, but they're teaching. The core of what they do has not changed. The way of which we've had to do things has changed. But it is amazing to walk into any of our schools right now and the teachers just don't miss a beat. The administrators the same way. You know, we did a lot of planning and preparation for, you know, the differences and tried to look at, you know, an if-then scenario. And they have all, like I said, just been resilient. They've been amazing to work with. One of the big things that I do want to compliment our teachers on is, you know, we have had some issues with COVID. We've had a positive teacher. We've had a teacher, you know, that we've had to isolate due to close contact. But our teachers have yet to stop teaching. So they are teaching from home. They're teaching from wherever they are. So the learning process has not stopped. And so that's amazing, and that's a credit to them.
Amen. And God bless them for having to deal with all that.
Absolutely.
Tell us about, and in full transparency, we're shooting this now towards the end of October, and I know things are changing day to day.
Absolutely.
But as we stand currently, starting to roll into November and the holiday season, what protocols are currently in place with the school system due to the COVID-19?
Sure. Well, and again, you know, I talked about the planning extensively, and that started in March of last year, because our last day was March the 13th, and we began planning for the upcoming year. You know, we did a little remote learning and whatnot from March until the end of last school year, and we learned a lot from that. So now where we are, we have our Return to Learn plan, again, very extensive, very comprehensive. It coordinates with the Alabama Department of Public Health, with the CDC, and so we have protocols that are put in place that if a student is positive, if a teacher is positive, if we determine a close contact, we are closing a school, we're isolating individuals, we're closing a classroom. And those are the protocols that we do have in place. We promised the Alexander City community that we would be open and honest and transparent. And so we developed a data dashboard that is updated daily. With any positive cases, those are listed on our website. And again, it's under a community tab for Alexander City Schools. But, again, the difference is our kids are wearing masks, whether they're on the bus, whether they're, in the classroom, wherever they may be, they're in masks. Our teachers are in masks. We're washing hands numerous times during the day. And there's hand sanitizing stations, just like if you walked into Russell Medical or you walked into Walmart, there's hand sanitizing stations everywhere. So we were trying to, again, make every attempt to keep our kids safe. We attempt social distancing, but that's not always possible. And if anybody's ever had kids, they know that that is a very difficult task. But the classrooms, we try to space the best that we can. So those are some of the protocols that we feel very comfortable about, and we're comfortable about the processes of which we've had to put in place to keep our kids safe.
Excellent. Tell us about, I know one of the things that's been popular with the COVID-19, folks have been a little bit hesitant to go back into the school system in the brick and mortar buildings, so I know you kind of had to pivot a little bit and create a virtual learning option. If you would just kind of tell us a little bit more about that, where that's at and where you see that going.
Okay. Again, going back to last year and getting ready to open this year, we sent out some surveys, and we had about 1/3 of our population that was like, hey, we're really, like you said, apprehensive about our children going back into the classroom. Because again, and that's understandable from a parent's perspective, is I'm going to put my kid back in there with a lot of unknowns. So we did develop the Alexander City Virtual Academy, and that is located just down the street from the Board of Education. It's on Lee Street. I believe it's the old Russell main building.
Main office.
And so we're working with the Amadeus Group, and we have about 3,000 square feet down there. It laid out absolutely perfect for our vision of, not only today, but for tomorrow. Because again, we can't think about just what we're reacting to right now. We're trying to think about what all could, this migrate into. So we've secured that location. We should be moving in probably November the 9th or 10th. The furniture should be delivered on the 9th. But through that process, our kids will have opportunity to come in, to work together, to collaborate, to work with teachers. We'll have some state-of-the-art technology in there, some real kind of, I don't know if the word hip would be, appropriate, but the furniture and whatnot. We want to make it a place where our kids feel very comfortable in that learning environment. So that's, kind of on the forefront. We're going to look at creating an advanced academic studies program out of there. We're going to look at creating a twilight school out of there, because I've got multiple kids. And again, this is some things that we've realized through this pandemic. I've got kids that need to work in the morning between 6 a.m. and 12 o'clock, because that's when the most jobs are available for them, because after school, you're competing with so many more. So we know that that's a reality for a lot of our kids. So we want to say, okay, if you need to work here, then you can come get your academic studies in the evening. So we want to make those things available, and we can do that through the virtual process.
That's great. And you were talking about kind of planning for today and tomorrow. I know things are changing rapidly.
Correct.
But knowing you and the planning that you've done with what we've seen that's already taken place, but I know you're excited to kind of talk about a new 5-year strategic plan for the school system. I was wondering if you might be open to sharing some insight on that.
Oh, absolutely. This was truly a collaborative process with the community. We brought a lot of community leaders together. We brought parents together. We took a lot of survey data. And one of my main focuses since I've been here is to really and truly look at what does our community need, what does our region need in developing a workforce development, and understanding that we've got to train the kids of today for tomorrow. So that was really a big push with our strategic plan. And I'm all about inspiring hope, because we all know without hope there is no future, and that's in anything. So that was part of what we outlined, is providing hope and a pathway to success for every child. And that's our motto, inspiring hope. And if every day you can go home and know, I inspired hope in a child, I inspired hope in a parent, I inspired hope in another individual or peer teacher, then I think that's a successful day. If you don't mind, I'll read.
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
Like I said, I'm very, very proud of this. We want to be the premier educational institution that cultivates a pathway of success for all students to become graduates that are fully equipped to contribute as productive members of an ever-changing society. Premier educational institution. We want people to come here because of our school systems. A lot of times in the state, when niche or other organizations put out rankings of schools,
right,
we want to be in that top tier, and that is a direction that we want to go. That is our vision that we aspire to be. So our mission in order to get there is we will inspire hope and create pathways for student and community success. We felt it extremely important that we list our community here, because we want our community to be successful, and we are a big determining factor if that happens. So we take on that responsibility, and we want to make sure that that was an emphasis for us. We'll do it through these measures: provide an educational environment that promotes high levels of rigor. That means we have rigor that matches anywhere else in the state. Despite any circumstances or anything else a child comes from, we can still raise that rigor for everyone to reach. And then we want to be innovative, we want to be collaborative, and we want to have high expectations for every child. So in creating that strategic plan, we have multiple critical initiatives that outline each thing from student outcomes to physical responsibilities to support systems for our students. This will be located on our website if anybody wants to go there, but this will be our living, breathing document that we will go through every single day, and we will live this strategic plan. So I'm very passionate about it. I'm proud of the people who helped put this together, and I think it will lead us to the next steps, within the next 5 years.
I love the direction that you've put in place. We can sense the passion you have for community, especially education here, which is big for us at the Chamber, because one of our main initiatives is our partnership in education. I know one of the things that we get asked about frequently that seems to have drawn a sincere amount of excitement in the community is some potential upgrades and maybe even some new facilities for our students in the school system. If you would, kind of enlighten us about some of those upcoming opportunities.
Sure. And this is always exciting, for a superintendent or for our community when you see new buildings coming up out of the ground or old ones being renovated. That was a part of the strategic plan. We looked back last year from facility assessments and realized that we needed to upgrade. And so one of the current projects that we have going on right now is at Jim Pearson. And absolutely love what we're doing out there. We're actually connecting the schools. That was a big push for me because I had a kindergarten and pre-K building that was not connected to the main building, which made no sense. But we're connecting those and adding STEM labs. We're adding a new library, new offices, making it safer and more secure for our students. Where we are right now is we are actually coming up on the end of the deconstruction phase, where we've taken brick down and busted every water pipe I think that's out there under the ground, and so now we're seeing it start to come up. We'll start laying footings next week. They're digging them, and so we should be pouring them, and then the walls will start coming out of the ground. So we're very excited about that. We should have it completed probably be the end of July. Okay. So we shouldn't have any problems coming back in next year. So that is on track, on time, and on budget so far. So that's always good to hear from a superintendent standpoint. And then the other really big initiative that we have is the new Benjamin Russell High School. Again, this has been over a year and a half with me working on this, and then I know the previous administration was working on this as well. So through both our city and through the county, we've secured the funding necessary to do this. We have secured our bond, and so it is sitting in the bank waiting on us to actually start building the school. Been working with the Alabama Department of Transportation since January of this year, which again has been a great partnership because that's huge in the location that we're seeking. We are wanting to put the school, it's just off of Highway 280. It will be visible from 280, but we will have our main access off of Highway 63, which again, we wanted to make sure that working with ALDOT and our traffic engineers that I want a safe entrance and exits for my students, for my faculty, and that was priority for me going into this venture. So we are hoping to break ground with some site preparations March 1. We are in final planning with ALDOT to look at what we need to do out on Highway 63, but probably December of 22. It may extend past that just a little bit, but we will have a new Benjamin Russell High School that will be state-of-the-art. It will look amazing. I'm theming all of our schools through the renovation process to look in a particular way where when somebody sees the school, they're going to go, oh, that's Alex City. And I think that's important. We're not mimicking what other people are doing in the state. We will own it, and I think it's absolutely beautiful.
Well, thank you for sharing that update. That's it's exciting times in the Alexander City Schools. Yeah,
busy.
I was going to say, it doesn't sound like you have much going on. But we do appreciate that update.
Yes,
once again, that is Dr. Langford, Superintendent for Alexander City School System. We really appreciate him joining us for the State of Education video series focused on the Alexander City School System. I'm Ed Kalari with the Alexander City Chamber of Commerce. We're going to be back with more. We're going to visit with Jessica Sanford, Executive Director of the Alexander City School Education Foundation, and then we'll also visit with Mr. Jeff Lynn, the Interim President at Central Alabama Community College. We appreciate you joining us, and we'll be back with more. Stay tuned.